My name is Samuel Ronan, and for the past 8 years, I've been serving this great nation in the United States Air Force. Earlier this year, I ran for the DNC chair because, like you, I saw a problem in our nation. We are no longer represented, and that has got to change.
I never thought I'd see the day where I would have to talk about immigration, ICE, and the rise of xenophobia in the United States of America. I thought we were past this. Of course, we're all immigrants, are we not? Unless we're Native Americans. Those are the only people who were in this country before we were. If you have any sort of European descent, if you're this skin color, you are an immigrant to this country. If you're Asian, if you're Hispanic, if you're African American, you are an immigrant to these United States of America. This right here puts it most poignantly. From Shannon Carey, a teacher. Some of my students are carrying around their documents just in case they get detained by ICE. Their parents are making contingency plans for childcare and finances in case of detainment. I am not overreacting when I say the parallels to 1937 Germany are stunning. This is a fact, ladies and gentlemen, that this is happening in the year 2018. That children are living in fear, in very real terror, for the threat of deportation, detainment, having their parents ripped away from them and being sent to God knows where. There are deterrent camps, there are holding centers, there are detainment facilities throughout the country. Those are all synonyms for concentration camps, internment camps. Camps where people are treated as less than human beings. That is unacceptable. That cannot be allowed. That is domestic terrorism. That is a threat to our country's safety and security. It makes us vulnerable. It makes us vulnerable not because it instills fear in the populace, but because it can be taken advantage of. Because this hateful rhetoric is on the rise. Because it will cause people to take extreme action, like threats to CNN and journalists. Like the ongoing 11 school shootings that have occurred in this month alone. The violent outlash, the violent interactions between law enforcement and citizenry, especially over this. Innocents being treated like criminals, like terrorists, being accused of the same. Simply because these contingencies are in place, because this lawful behavior is allowed to exist. Nonviolent, undocumented immigrants who are left alone by then President Obama are now being rounded up by the Trump administration. Trump is targeting up to 8 million people for deportation. How immigration activists mobilized to thwart deportation raids last week. With communities on edge as crackdowns begin, grassroots groups are acting quickly to form information-sharing networks and raise awareness of legal rights. Ladies and gentlemen, if you were ever in a history class back in high school, reading about Nazi Germany and wondering how that could have ever happened to them, or that if you were back in those times you would stand opposed, now you know how it could happen, and this is your opportunity. It's not just immigrants that are being targeted. It's any person of interest under the guise of concerns of terrorism or worse. This is happening today. This is happening to your friends and neighbors. And what are we doing to prevent it? There is a lot to worry about. There's a lot to concern ourselves with. But fundamentally, the root cause is a lack of community. It's a lack of working together, and it's a lack of understanding. No, this is the time to be vigilant, to recognize that this is a turning point in American history, that it has been for the past 2 years. The question is, what are you going to do about it? What have you done about it? What will you continue to do about it? And how will you encourage others to do the same? ICE is a domestic terror organization. Law enforcement is rapidly approaching the same status. Until there are limitations placed upon their use of force and their gross overreach of power and ability to set aside constitutional rights, to violate people's privacy and lives, that is exactly what they will remain. Domestic, terrorist, sanctioned by the US government, and of course all of her sub-governments at the state, county, and local levels. That is what I aim to fight against. With every fiber of my being, I will fight against it. I will not allow this to continue. As an American, I am obligated, and as an enlisted airman who swore an oath to protect and defend the Constitution of this country from all enemies, both foreign and domestic, I will not back down. And if I somehow manage to paint a target on my back and law enforcement and ICE harasses me, good. Because they do not know what they're dealing with. They do not know who they are dealing with. And it is high time they realize that I am not alone, that we are not alone, that we as a country are disgusted, that we want change, and we will achieve it with or without them. I can assure you it will only get worse if you do nothing. And if you do nothing, you are complicit. So stand up for that little girl. Stand up for that family. Stand up for that Muslim, for that Hispanic person. So stand up for the people of color who are being profiled. Stand up for your countrymen. And maybe, just maybe, enough of us will be standing that we'll see that we are certainly not alone, that we far and exceed outnumber them, and that change is possible.
So, join me, and together we can guarantee a future for all.